Hey team, Chef Eric here, hope you're doing well. Today we've got a very fun method. It's just as fun to say as 3, 2, 1 ribs, except it actually works. It's the butter dip New York strip. Let's get into the action. Our good friends at Creekstone Farms have sent us these fabulous and stunning New York strip loins. And look at all that intermuscular fat, the marbling. Pretty thick too. Nate, what do you think that is? About 3/4 of an inch to an inch?
I think it's good looking.
Yeah, it's super sexy. It's still got enough of that fat cap on there, so we'll be able to render some of that out. Really stunning steaks out of Kansas. We're gonna season these babies up. I've got the Kettle Joe stabilized at 350 degrees. So we're gonna do a hotter end of the spectrum smoke on these, take them off, rest them in the butter bath with some herbs and other things, and then we're going to raise the temperature on that Kettle Joe and finish with a reverse sear after it's rested in the butter. This is fabulous stuff. Let's cut into our steaks and get them seasoned. And we want to not forget to get that fat cap as well. And in fact, we could put a little score on there just to drive all that seasoning down in and help that render out a little bit. A little salt. And that's going to help us pull moisture out and get a nicely rendered and crisp fat side there. Salt on this side. A little bit of fresh cracked pepper. And then we've chosen a sweet heat, Elaine's Barbecue Sweet Heat, as the secondary seasoning today. I love this stuff. It gives a little better mouthfeel as far as texture goes. And there's the rain again. We're here in South Florida today, so we're getting some pretty good winds coming through and some rain, but you know, never an issue when you're grilling. So I'm gonna put a little of this sweet heat on there. This is gonna help. There's some paprika in there as well, so I love that color, but I love these textures, and the flavor profile is just gonna set it off. All the sides. We are seasoned up. Let's go ahead and take a look at our grill setup. Remember, we're stabilized at that 350 degree mark. And on the Kettle Joe today, I've taken out the slow roller and gone for 2-zone cooking. So I've got a Big Joe deflector shield on one side, and then an open side which will lower the grill grate closest to the coals when we're ready to sear, so we can get that big, bold, sweet heat sear. But let's go ahead and nestle in some hickory chunks right into the hottest portion of our flame, and we're looking for that combustion to occur so we can get that good blue smoke. You hear us talk about this time and time again. If you want a great smoke, use wood chunks, not wood chips. Don't soak, use dry, cured wood chunks, the best stuff. Once we see combustion, we know we're good to set our steaks on the indirect side here. It's been about 3 or 4 minutes since we seasoned the steaks, and notice how the moisture content is beginning to wick out. The salt really helped that, and now everything's starting to tack up nicely. I'm gonna put the fat cap side facing the open or direct portion of the grill. We're looking to bathe those New York strips in this smoke bath for about 15 minutes on each side. We want to reach an internal temperature of around 115 degrees before we take those steaks off and let them rest in the butter bath. While our steaks are smoking, it's a perfect opportunity to build the butter bath. So I like to use a disposable pan, and we get our butter. And I don't know whose idea it was to wrap these little things. I'm used to in a restaurant having big old pound blocks. This is pretty tedious work here. This is the most difficult part about this whole freaking recipe. It really burns my biscuits having to unwrap individual things of butter. But we're looking for about 1.5 pounds of butter here. You know, when it melts, we just want it halfway up the level of those thick, delicious steaks. So we've got our unsalted butter in the pan. Now let's bump it up with a little floral aromatics. We're gonna go in with some rosemary, and no need to chop this up, just leave it in whole. Throw in some cloves of garlic. You can smash these if you want, just to kind of promote that garlic to transport throughout, but do not worry about cutting it at all. And then I want a little fresh thyme in there. So as the New York strips are resting, they're going to be picking up all these floral notes. Great stuff. It's been 15 minutes, so let's take a sneak peek. Beautiful. Starting to see some nice caramelization here, some little bubbles forming on the fireside. So let's go ahead and flip these steaks, and we're going to keep that fat cap to the outside. Remember, we're not looking for a sear here because we are going to reverse sear these guys, but we want to get a nice smoke bath going. Let's go ahead and place our second grill grate at the lower setting. Steaks are flipped. We're letting that lower grill grate start accepting heat to get ready for the sear, and this is our opportunity to melt our butter. So we'll just set our tray right here and let that melt. You can see the butter's already going. We're going to close this dome and pull this in about 3 minutes. By melting the butter dome down or lid down, we're going to pick up a fair amount of smoke in that butter. So we're going to rest these steaks here in a little bit in smoked butter. Beautiful thing. Oh yeah. Make sure and get that rosemary in there. Smoke's still going strong. I can smell the garlic. And that's a great butter bath. So a couple of things are happening right now. You know, smoke burns your eyes because it's acidic. So that acid is actually tenderizing, not just smoking for flavor, but tenderizing those steaks. The cooking of low and slow is breaking down the connective tissue. The collagen's turning to gelatin. And then to top it all off, we're gonna put a big old reverse sear on it with the butter. Magic, magic, magic. I can't wait. I am salivating. I can't wait. It's been another 15 minutes. Let's take a sneak peek. Let me just show you really what's happening here. Oh, that's great. And so we're at an internal temperature of 115, and now we're going to nestle this right into that butter bath. Automatically give it a flip. So these steaks are going to pick up a lot of that herb flavor. You know, it's almost like basting at this point, but as it's resting, it's gonna start drinking up some of that butter in the crust. And I love using this liquid medium that has such a great fat content and big bold flavors. When we sear this, that's just gonna lock in on the outside and give us a luxurious mouthfeel. Now it's time to raise the temperature of our grill. So I'm gonna reach over here and open that draft door all the way, and we're gonna leave our dome up for a little bit. That's going to bring this portion of the grill, because we still have this deflector shield in, everything is rushing up right here. So we're going to have an extremely hot spot on our grill. With this small amount of charcoal, I bet we're going to be at about 650 to 700 degrees searing. We've rested these steaks for 8 minutes. Now it's time for the blistering butter bath sear, and it's going to be about 45 seconds on each side. Don't worry about those flames. Now as that butter's dripping down, it's creating some flames. Don't worry about that. We're getting this flame-kissed flavor right now. If you've ever heard of burnt noisette or brown butter, it's gonna bring an amazing earthiness. Let's go ahead and flip. We're gonna start with this front steak here. Stunning. Now the second steak, I'm liking it. Give it a turn if you like. That just promotes even caramelization. And team, the butter smell right now is out of control. 3, 2, and 1. Let's go ahead and take off. Look at this side. All right, second steak. Look at that. That's a Creekstone dream right there. Now we've already let these steaks rest, but just for good measure, we're gonna give it 2 minutes before we slice into it. The Kettle Joe has done a great job of low and slow and fast and furious in the same cook. So excited about that reverse sear. The butter notes are out of control. Out of control. We gotta wait these 2 minutes. We gotta wait these 2 minutes. While we're waiting for this to rest just for a minute, let's go ahead and do some asparagus so we can have some vegetables. Now these parts of the asparagus are very woody, so I'm just gonna take my knife and at a slight angle, chop off the bottom portion. And I use these pieces in risotto. I'll blanch them off and use them in risottos, but here we have the really nice bits to eat. So open our grill up while we've still got some heat. Notice how I'm not laying these with the tines so they're falling through. I'm going at an angle or completely against. And I didn't put a bunch of oil on there either. It drives me nuts to see people oiling their asparagus. What do you think is gonna happen? They're gonna stick to the grill grate? It's not gonna happen, I promise you. Not in the history of asparagus has it stuck to the grill grate because you didn't put enough oil on it. You wanna taste the sweetness of that asparagus. Don't coat it with oil, which is gonna coat your tongue. We're just gonna let it cook a little bit, and then we're gonna hit some sweet heat right on top of it. So, brilliant. While this asparagus is finishing off, let's go ahead and slice these New York strips. And I'm gonna start at one end and work our way across. Oh man, smells like butter, slices like butter. That's gonna bloom out, but look at that. That fat cap has just caramelized on the outside. It's rendered out nicely. Amazing moisture content there. This is just a great eatable steak. And the aromas coming off right now are just fantastic. I'm even picking up some of that garlic, rosemary, thyme. Absolutely decadent. Try to stack these bits here so we can keep that little linear presentation going. Let's get our asparagus off the grill. So nothing crazy. You know, it's meat and taters without the taters here. We've got asparagus, but let's give it a taste and see how we did. That is stunning. Perfect medium rare there. And it's just super pull apart tender. Let's give it a go. Steak has never been so good. Sensational. This is incredible. And super simple, folks. It's all about that butter dip New York strip. A simple techniques done perfectly win every time, but if you're gonna rest your steak anyway, why not do it with butter, you know? That sear is just so pronounced. I tell you time and time again, simple things done perfectly win every time. Not many moving parts with this, okay? And the asparagus is a bonus. It's so nice to have a balance of vegetable and beef. That's fantastic. And it only took 45 seconds to cook, right? So what's not to like about that? Folks, if you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed cooking it for you, don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification button so you don't miss a thing. From our backyard to yours, cheers and happy grilling.